So this setting ended up being pretty important and meaningful. I mean, obviously we this is probably the second or third time I'm seeing a god in this game. We've briefly seen Zeros. I have faced Zamorak in his boss encounter, and I've seen Saradomin briefly appear at the end of World Wakes, and then we saw Gothic. So like we are starting to get acclimated with the gods in this game. And then I briefly saw Elder God Jazz, and I also saw Armadillo at the top of like his house or whatever. But like we're starting to get acclimated into like the bosses of the world. The sorry, not bosses, the gods of the world. And the reason this is significant for me at least is prior to this, because of the pursuit of World Wakes. Obviously, I started the game really immersing myself into quests, and then over time playing the game more and more and doing a bunch of the mundane tasks that the quests have. Over time, I lost the sense of immersion from questing, and it just became a chore. And then my mind was always like, when am I gonna finish World Wakes, and like getting anxious and antsy about it. But now that we're done, that pressure has been lifted. But I immediately, almost immediately, found myself looking up the next set of quests to unlock. Because one of the quests being Extinction, which gives you access to Ring of Vigor passive permanently on your account. And that's a pretty strong passive. That passive saves you a lot of adrenaline. So I was like, oh, fuck, not this again. And that's, I guess, a lot of people's reactions to when they have to do questing. And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, let me like try and like do things in a weird order again. And I say weird order. Also, look at my Black Arch Glacier. This pet is so sick. I say weird order. I meant like chronological order. So I sorted it based on timeline. And then as I was scrolling, I noticed the World Guardian quest is nice and organized. So obviously, we have just become the World Guardian. So now it would actually make a lot of sense to do these quests in order, because this effectively helps you progress the storyline of how you are the World Guardian and how you play into this game. And like this will help you immerse yourself back into the game in the proper order. And as you can clearly see, Extinction is literally the third last on the list. So now, if I basically start skipping stuff, and I like Extinction only really requires like 4 prerequisite quests. I can very, very easily like skip through a bunch of this stuff and go straight to Extinction. But like, if we have learned anything with World Wakes and waiting for Dead Swiftness, we have learned that it really forces you to learn the game outside of obviously the power crept mechanics. I think having to use a Ring of Vigor isn't the end of the world. I think what would be considered the end of the world is also, is that Char over here? Okay, no, what the hell? That looked like Char from the World Wakes. What would be worse is basically like skipping through a bunch of content without really like getting to enjoy it. And I mean enjoy it, like actually fucking enjoy it. Like if I talk to Sarah Doman, I don't know if you guys could hear this. He is talking. He is voice acted. And these quests are absolutely like the ones that are voice acted and the ones that have like actual decent cinematics, which are also voice acted and animated. They tend to be some of the better quests. So clearly they've put in effort into certain parts of the game to actually get you interested in the storyline. And I understand a lot of people will constantly say, like, I've heard this saying over and over, like the storyline is just added for the sake of adding it. But I disagree, because truly, like, if you start to get to like know some of these characters and their decision making and their ideologies, like, it's a very much a reflection of the real world. Also, like, Saradomin just looks badass here. I know he's supposed to be a dick, but he just straight up looks badass here, bro. I'm not gonna lie. And apparently he shrunk himself to be human size because he found it easier to talk to humans. He calls us his servants. I'm not really a servant. We're a world guardian at the end of the day, which basically means we are not influenced by the gods. But yeah, this is a key moment because it kind of like brought me back into playing the game the right way per se. Because I can 100% easily like get into the PVM loop again. Like and I probably will multiple times. That's not really out of question, and it's probably bound to happen. But what I need to constantly do, and I highly encourage a lot of you guys do, is to stop trying to chase the next big thing. Because the problem with that is the highs are high and the lows are low. And most of the times you'll be at a low. Because how often are you really going to get big unlocks? And how often are you going to get big drops? Obviously, you guys will say, well, a beer, you're spooned, you're going to get a lot of drops. You guys only see the highlight, okay? Like, if you really think about it, if I'm playing this game, let's just say 4 hours a day times 7 days a week, so 28 hours a week. I am recording around maybe 60 minutes of footage a week. You're seeing 1 in 28. So 27 out of 28 times, I'm getting fuck all. I'm getting nothing. 27 out of 28 times, I'm just clicking around, doing mundane tasks. And so it may feel like there's a lot of highs, but like there is one high, 27 average / low. And it's extremely, extremely, extremely important to truly get the full enjoyment out of this game by getting addicted to the journey, getting addicted to the storyline, to the quests, to the mini mechanics. I mean, some of you guys are morbidly addicted to like doing the actual dungeon and bossing, and to be honest, that's extremely good. I find it difficult, to be honest, to get addicted to the bossing mechanics because this may be a curse or a blessing. I don't know how you can look at it however you want. I tend to learn things very fast. What that translates into is I get bored very fast. If I do something like 5 or 6 times, at some point I start picking up on the patterns extremely quickly. And once the novelty disappears and I'm basically able to predict what's about to happen, I get absolutely zero dopamine. In fact, I get negative dopamine. I literally have this pit in my stomach when I know what's going to happen because it's not new, it's not exciting, and it's boring as fuck, and I'm literally anxious to get it over with. Like, I'm literally excited to get it over with. And with some of the mini mechanics, it is extremely annoying. Yes, it is sometimes you get tilted. But like I just don't see how else you could really truly enjoy this game without it becoming a second job or chore. I just don't see it. Like I see people going for logs and going for master and comp cape, and a lot of you guys recommend me doing that too. But like that is a second full-time job, guys. If I really wanted a second job, I would just get a second job and at least I get paid for it. At least I'm gonna double my income, right? Because once you do get the log, it's not like your life is gonna magically change and you're gonna retire and you're gonna enjoy life with your grandkids. Like that's not what happens. Once you complete your logs, you're completing your logs, and you may be able to flex a title or kill count to some people online that you don't really know. But like aside from that, what is there? And so like you got to make a decision at some point. It's like, what exactly do you want to get out of this game? And I think a lot of people are just doing, like people say the story exists for the sake of story. Well, a lot of people are just doing things for the sake of doing things, right? Like what exactly are you doing it for? That's the question you got to constantly ask yourself. And with the storyline and the quest line, at least we are expanding our mind. At least with GM timers, you are expanding your ability to rotate skills and theory craft. At least with mastering a boss mechanic, you are understanding and finding the most efficient, best way. At least there's a reason behind it. But if your reason is purely just getting GP and drops, then like it gets boring really fast. Because I see a lot of players, especially endgame players, who literally find this game boring because they have no meaning for drops. And then you end up creating like Ironmans to define meaning. Then you create like hardcore Iron Man. You just move the goalpost a little bit further Or then you go for concave or a trimmed concave. It is like, what the fuck, bro? Like, really, you're gonna do freaking a second full-time job for an extra color strip on your cape? Like, someone's gonna flame me for saying that, but I like think about it for a second. Think about it for a second. You skipped through the whole lore. You skipped through understanding the world. You skipped through basically learning the game mechanics without skipping to the upgrades. And now you're trying to make things to do. You're almost like making up things to do. How is that not doing things for the sake of doing it? That can't be any better than like actually reading through the storyline. I understand reading is annoying, but at least the quests that have voice acting, honestly, chef's kiss to whoever thought that voice acting was a good idea, because that's gonna at least make it more bearable. But yeah, that's my plan again. And again, we're gonna ping pong ourselves, right? Like, this is the whole game, guys. You ping pong yourself. The point is, you don't pigeonhole yourself or get too deep into one end. If you become too deep into getting addicted to drops, that's bad. If you get too addicted to doing some of the stupid mini games, that's bad. If you get too addicted to quests, eventually you run out of quests. But the key thing is, like, you rotate what you do, and you like focus on the journeys. I don't really care about the extinction quest, to be honest. I'm just glad the extinction quest led me to the next task, which was this quest, because I chose to do it in order again, and not in the order of like what's unlockable, but in the order of the storyline. And that led me to discovering some voice acted quests, and I'm hoping like I find more of these. This is like a mini gem, to be honest.